Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the What a Deck profile for the Tellarknight Burn Deck. Just going to go through real quick, show you everything that's in it, and then I'll explain what the role of everything is in the deck. So we're playing 3 ukulele, whatever the hell this is, 3 Altair, got 3 Deneb, of course, 3 Sham, or Aslam as he's called in actually, 3 Vega, 3 Reinforcements of the Army, why wouldn't you? 3 Satellarknight Skybridge, 2 Spell Shattering Arrow, 3 Blazing Mirror Force, 3 Battleguard Howling, 3 Oasis of Dragon Soul, 3 Call of the Haunted, 3 Satellarnova Alpha, and 2 Fairy Wind. For the extra deck, we're playing 1 number 104 Masquerade, 2 Deltros, 1 Dark Rebellion Ixie, 1 Comics Hero King Arthur, 2 Tiver, 2 Black Ship of Corn, 1 Silent Honor Arc, 1 Castell, 1 Exciton Knight, 2 Gagaga Cowboy, and 1 number 58 Burning Visor. And the side deck, this is mostly just other options, other things to consider when making your version of this deck if you want to experiment with some more stuff. So I'm just going to go in. Most of this is just your basic Satellarknight deck. Obviously, he's going to dump stuff into the graveyard that you can resurrect with Altair. Altair is one of your main plays. Deneb lets you search for another Satellarknight, and Vega lets you summon one from your hand. The key component in making this a burn deck is Aslam. We run 3 of him. When he's summoned, you inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. Ooh, sorry about that, bumped the table. So basically, you can only use his effect once per turn, but what you want to do is either get him with Vega or Altair, do 1,000, make Gagaga Cowboy, or if you can, make Tiver, so you can detach him to inflict some more damage, or just make them discard, or even Black Ship of Corn, send something to the graveyard and inflict 1,000. Just more burn damage, put him in the graveyard, and then we've got all these things like Call of the Haunted and Oasis of Dragon Souls to get him back onto the field to deal another 1,000 damage. And so it's a really defensive deck. It's really about managing aggro. Your opponent, it's difficult for them to play against this deck because it never feels like you're pushing for game. You're just chipping away at their life points 1,000 at a time or 800 at a time. And by the time they realize your strategy, you usually have enough stuff to just push for game, or you'll be able to drop something on them. So we've got the Reinforcements of the Army. Obviously lets you grab all these because they're warrior types. Skybridge is going to let you trade out one of the Satellarknights you already have on the field for one in your deck. So that's a useful way to bring Sham out during your opponent's turn, because it's a quick play. Or just if you don't have any way to get him on the field, you want to get him on the field as early as possible. Because once he's in the graveyard, then you can just start shuffling him back and forth. If he's already in the graveyard, obviously you can trade out for Altair. You can use Deneb's effect and then trade him out for something. Use Uke to drop him in the graveyard, and then Skybridge into Altair to get it back. There's a bunch of different combos. We're playing 2 Spell Shattering Arrow and 2 Fairy Wind just to destroy. They destroy spell traps, space up spell traps, and face up spells respectively, and inflict damage. Because this is a burn deck, and because pendulums are really popular, those are the options. You'll probably want to. These are prime side deck material. If your opponent's not running pendulums or not running something that runs on spell traps, shuffle these out for whatever. 3 Blazing Mirror Force, new card. I don't think it's out in America yet, but it's coming out in the next pack. But this will destroy. It's basically Mirror Force mixed with Ring of Destruction. Like all your opponent's attacking monsters are going to be destroyed, and then both you and your opponent are going to take damage equal to half their combined attack. So great burn card, great way to protect your monsters for another play. Just good in general. Of course, Destruction's starting to come back. Things don't float quite as much as they used to, especially like Ixie's monsters and stuff like that. Battleguard Howling. If one of your warrior-type monsters is targeted for attack, you can target one monster your opponent controls, send it back to the hand, and inflict damage equal to their attack. This makes it game a lot of times, especially if you just set out like Sham or just have one of these guys sitting out not doing anything. They don't really expect this, and it can inflict massive amounts of damage, because you can target any monster on their side of the field. So if they have anything with more than 2,000, they're taking a crap ton of damage, and you're sending stuff back to the hand. As I said, these two are just about summoning things back. Obviously, if you have Altair and Sham in the graveyard, using Call the Haunted on Altair will also get you Sham back. So then you have more of a defensive wall and you inflict 1,000. Satellarknight Alpha, just really good negation card. Especially with this one, you're not necessarily Ixieing all the time. A lot of times, because you want them to attack into Battleguard, Howling, or Mirror Force, you leave these weaker, un-Ixied monsters out on the field. So then you can negate them and then stop their attacks when they try to attack. As for the extra deck, I'm pretty much... We got the standard rank 4 trio, Skyblaster, Exciton, and 101. And then everything else is mostly just... we got the Satellarknights, Deltros, and Tiver. I find those work best. I forget what the other ones are, but they don't really... They're not particularly useful in this deck. You can switch them out if you want. Everything else is more based around burn damage. He negates the activation of a monster effect and does 800. Good against certain decks. Takes 3 level 4 monsters, which you can do fairly easily with this deck. Obviously, Dark Rebellion. Comic hero King Arthur. If he would be destroyed by battle, you can detach. He is not. It gains 500 attack, and you inflict 500. So another good, like 500, especially against really powerful monsters. Since he can't be destroyed by attack, he can make a good defensive wall. Black Ship of Corn gets rid of things that can't be destroyed by battle. Also does 1,000. Just a good solid, like if you need a solid 1,000 and they got a big back row, sometimes it's better to use this to inflict than to just attack with it. Same with Gaga Cowboy / Gunman. Good defensive wall. 800 it's one of those, like, people won't stop his effect because they don't really think 800's much, but it adds up quickly. And, of course, you can use it first turn or if they have a big back row. And then Burning Visor, you can equip to an Ixie monster, it can attack directly, and then when it does damage, you can discard a card to inflict 500. He doesn't come up much, but I have used him to get game a couple times, so I'd recommend trying him out. He's a really cheap card, really easy card. As for the side deck, I was running the Zephyra Satellars for a while, both of these, but because they're good, you can destroy face-up cards and set cards with them. He's got a solid 1900 attack, but they can't use their effects when they're special summoned, only if they're pendulum summoned or normal summoned, so they don't really have much synergy with the deck. They're just more Satellarknights if you're having trouble drawing into them. Honest is, of course, really good, but oftentimes I would Ixie into Cowboy, or I'd have these in defense position, and I didn't attack very much, so honestly didn't work out very well. Beetlegeist works almost as good as Unk. It depends. If you're doing more drawn-out duels, he can be nice, because he lets you grab one from your deck graveyard, add it to your hand. He's got more defense, too. Mathematician, obviously, can also be used in place of Unk to set Alsahm to the graveyard, or any of your Satellarknights. Maxi, good draw power, especially in this deck, where you're not attacking much. Likewise, Soul Charge, you don't do your battle phase very much. I didn't really like the cost, especially because I was already taking from Blazing Mirror Force, and I used to have Ring of Destruction in here, which was also causing me a lot of damage, so I didn't want to Soul Charge anymore. Foolish should be obvious. Wavering Eyes, you can play this in place of Fairy Wind or Spell Shattering Arrow if you know you're against Pendulum decks. This really rustles their jimmies, especially if you're playing the Zephyra Satellarknights, because then when they make their scale, you can destroy both their monsters, inflict more damage, and add one of these guys to your hand. And of course, you don't I never pendulum summon with these guys. You don't want to. You just use them to make Ixie material and stuff. So it doesn't negatively affect you. Solar Ray, good way to inflict a whole bunch of damage when your opponent's not expecting it. I went for stuff that destroys and negates, but you could probably move this in. If you weren't so worried about spell traps, this would be a good side deck card just to do that extra. You get 2 monsters out, that's 1200. Pretty decent, especially if you're doing a mirror match. Oh wait, no, it's only on your side of the field, so never mind. Magic Cylinder, I wouldn't recommend. I had this in here originally, but this is Magic Cylinder, but it destroys, and it destroys all the monsters. And this is Magic Cylinder, but it sends it back to the hand. So you've got better options than this. If you weren't playing Warriors, Magic Cylinder might be good, but not in this deck. Ring of Destruction deals a lot of burn damage. And then, of course, Chain Burst and Curse of Darkness. 1,000 points every time any opponent activates a spell. 1,000 for every trap. You probably don't want to activate Chain Burst because you have so many traps, but there's so few spells, especially if Reinforcements of the Army gets hit sometime soon. This could be a really good card because you're not playing that many spells. Take out Spell Shattering Arrow and replace it with something. I don't know, more Fairy Winds. So this could be really good. So there's the deck. If you want to see it in action, I played 10 duels on the What a Deck. This is the What a Deck profile. Anyway, so yeah, you can check that out. There's a link in the description if you want to see how it works and all the combos and everything. It's pretty simple, kind of fun, kind of trollsy. Anyway, I'll be back next week with another What a Deck profile. Till then, good luck, have fun.